how's it? How are you all doing? Welcome to grade 11 Life Science. Hopefully you've all got your thinking caps on because we're going to get down and dirty with all the stuff today. Right, so in Life Science, the first thing we always do is look at terminology, right? And the minute you understand terminology, it becomes easy, okay? So let's have a look. Let's start today and we'll go and select a color and we'll start with the first word. We have asexual reproduction. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give you enough time in a few minutes to try it out. Okay, we have sexual reproduction. Okay, we got a word named haploid. Then we got diploid. Then try this one out: gametophyte, and the last one, sporophyte. Those words, let me see how many, 2, 4, 6 of them. I'm still good at maths. Those 6 words, what I want from you is I want you to try and give me the definition of what they mean, okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Let's see if you can do it. Ready, go. Okay, now that I've got your attention and you've worked through this and I can already see you warming up to it, let's have a look what these words actually mean. Right, the first one, asexual reproduction, okay? And you guys are there, you're grade 11, you know about reproduction, but we need to look at the asexual part. And remember, the asexual means with no sex. That's what it actually means, okay? And when we come to that, we have a look at things where we say reproduction without the fusion of male and female gametes. Very important. So if we have a look at it, you haven't got the female egg and the male sperm, for instance, okay? So the best way to look at it is if I rip off my arm and I stick it into the ground, we're going to grab a new human, a new one of me. Can you imagine how cool that'll be, right? Now, let's look at the next. We've got sexual reproduction, okay? Now, sexual reproduction is the one that we know quite going around. So we've got, it's the reproduction that occurs when there's a male and a female gamete that fuse together, okay? That's when you get the sperm and the egg, and they come together to form one thing. It forms a zygote, and then that zygote grows and becomes us, nice and big, okay? So those are cool, right? Next one, now those two, by the way, should have been easy for you. Okay, they should have been easy. Now we're getting a little bit more difficult. The next one that I want you to have a look at, that we had a look at, was haploid. Now, haploid's a little bit difficult, okay? This is a special cell. You don't find it everywhere in the body, okay? You only find it in specific places. You normally find it where you have your sperm. Your sperm is a haploid cell, right? Your egg is a haploid cell. Your gametes are haploid cells. Okay, and if we have a look at it, it's a cell that contains half the number of chromosomes found in a somatic cell. That's a nice big one. Somatic cell. A somatic cell is 2N, okay, which a somatic cell is the parent cell, okay, and it's only found in male and female gametes, the N cell. So watch this carefully. Think about this carefully. I mentioned two things. There's a somatic cell. Now, a somatic cell is every cell in your body except your gametes. Okay? So it's every cell, my skin, my muscles, my everything, except for my sperm, in my case as a human. Right? Now, if you have a look at it, a somatic cell is 2N. Okay? Now, when I go through mitosis, okay, which you'll learn, meiosis, sorry, you're going to half that. So you're going to make 2 N cells. Well, in actual fact, you make 4 of them, but that doesn't matter. There's 2 N's. Now remember, when you have a sperm, that's an N cell, and you take another sperm, that's an N cell, and you join them together, you get 2 N cells. Hey, how cool is that? Somatic cell, 2 N cells, and a normal gamete is an N cell each. It's a haploid and a diploid. Right, here we go. Diploid means 2. Okay, so we have a diploid cell, which is the number of chromosomes that is found in a somatic cell. That's ours. So 2N, there we go again. These cells have 2 sets of chromosomes, one inherited from each parent. Like I told you, sperm has an N cell, egg has an N cell. They come together to form a zygote, which is 2N. That's quite cool, huh? Now, next one. These are quite amazing ones. Yeah, the gametified generation. Now, gametified generation you find in plants. Okay, and yes, you'll find the gametes, but we're looking at plants, moss mostly. Okay, so I'm going to give you what it is, and then I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, firstly, it is a haploid multicellular stage in the alternation of generation life cycle of plants. Okay, not animals. Don't know why we put that in there. It's not animals, it's moss. Okay. Oh, if I can write properly today. Okay, it's your moss cells. Now, what happens? Alternation of generation, which is a beautiful section, which we're not going to get into detail today because I want to go to different cells, or different types of plants, should I say, right? Is they've got a generation where you get an adult with some somatic cells, which is 2N, and then you get a whole section of N cells, so haploid cells that they grow, which is so cool when it comes to moss, for instance, right? And we also have it in the fern. And the next one, of course, the next cell we have is your sporophyte generation, and your sporophyte generation is the adult section, so the 2N. If we have a look at it, it's the diploid multicellular stage in the alternation of generation, the life cycles of plants. Don't worry about animals. Animals is not the correct one that I want to show you. Forget about the animals. We're looking at plants. Okay. Are you all there? We're all cool and we're all together and we understand this. Right. Let's carry on. Next thing I want to have a look at you is key concept, some more. Okay, what is the difference between asexual and, not the difference, but sexual and asexual reproduction? Okay, now normally I was going to give you time for this, but I just want to explain it to you. Today I'm going to explain just this part to you. Okay, I'm going to leave asexual out for 2 seconds, and I'm going to start here with sexual reproduction. Okay, and what you see here is I want to start with certain ones. We're going to go from chop and change all the time. I want to start with this big word here, bryophytes. Now, I know I'm jumping orders, but don't worry about it. There's a reason why I'm starting with bryophytes. I'm going to go into the order, the most simplest form to the most complex form. Okay, the bryophyte, or the moss, okay, they are the most simplest form, and they go through reproduction. They go through sexual reproduction. Okay, and they normally have a thing called alternation of generation. They also go through asexual, but we're looking at alternation of generation with sexual reproduction included. Then you've got the pteridophytes, which are your ferns. Okay, they are beautiful plants, absolutely gorgeous plants. Okay, now those guys also go through alternation of generation, which means there is sexual reproduction included there. Then you get your gymnosperms, which is your cone-bearing, which you guys will learn about. It's your cone-bearing plants, and your cone-bearing plants, they normally go through wind pollination. Okay, We'll talk about wind pollination. And then you get to the ones that I want to talk about today. You get your angiosperms or flowering plants. That's what we're going to concentrate on today. Right, very important. Those are so important today for me and you, okay? But you all know they go through sexual reproduction, okay? But you also get this process called asexual reproduction, okay? And that's something that you guys can actually try at home, okay? Have a look at it. You have these plants that send out these little levers, little things, and they drop one of their friends over there, and that friend grows in, and that friend leaches out and drops another little one, okay? That's like a reproduction, making a new plant without sexual reproduction. Try this one out. If you grab a potato, okay, and you cut it, and you take that and plant it into the ground, you're going to grow a new potato plant, okay? Same with a carrot. All of these things are asexual. You didn't have a male and a female coming together, okay? So don't forget it. Asexual reproduction is the reproduction of plants without sexual contact, okay? Now, this one I've put here. I want to show you the key things, the advantages and the disadvantages of sexual reproduction, okay? I'm going to start off with the advantages, and the advantage of, I'm actually going to do that so I can touch, the advantages of asexual and the advantages of sexual. Okay, the first one I want to have a look at. Only one parent is required. This is an advantage. So if you've only got the one plant, you don't have a female or you don't have a male, you've only got one of the sex of the plant, it will carry on growing and it will reproduce and make lots more. So that's a cool thing, okay? With a sexual reproduction, you need a male and a female, okay? If we have a look at the sexual reproduction, 2 parents are required. Simple. 2 parents are required. Without the one, you're not going to make it, right? Very, very important. Then we've got the next one where you've got 3 types. Let me just get the pen there so we can understand. There's 3 types. Sideways shoots. Remember I showed you where they sent their arms out and they started growing, okay? You have lateral buds on. So if you look in the potato, they've got those little buds, those little eyes, right? You get underground storage organs, like the potato again, right? And then you've got, which is underground storage unit, and then you get the stem that produced when you cut off the plant. So I don't know if you've ever seen prickly pears. If you take a prickly pear plant, okay, just that it looks like the leaf, but it is not the leaf, it's a stem. So please don't forget that green thing with all those little thorns on it. You take one of those, if you take a piece of it and put it onto the ground, it'll grow asexually, it'll grow roots and a new plant will grow. How cool is that, right? Then we've got plant, okay, if we have a look at it, the mechanicalness of it is very complex and adapted for each environment. Okay, special environment needed for special things, like ones in water gives you special ones. Ones in the desert is special. Okay, so each one is different. Okay, then we're going to have a look at the next. Okay, it's quick and efficient. It happens like this. Okay, when it comes to sexual, they've got to wait for certain things to happen. Okay. And then we have the discrete genetic material is not lost. The desirable, the ones that are so important, the things that they like about it, we don't lose it. With asexual reproduction, you can lose these, okay? Which is a big thing. You don't want to. You want to try and keep it. And, of course, when it comes to the sexual reproduction, the genetic variation occurs. It means you're different. That's why you don't look the same as your other siblings, or why you don't look like your mom or dad. You might have slight resemblance, but you don't look exactly. We're looking at the favorable parts are kept, hopefully, sometimes not. Okay, now, the disadvantages of it, okay? Look at this. Competition between offspring. Can you remember when I said they lift out their arms and they drop it? Now, this person here that I've put here is going to suck up all the stuff that I need. All the stuff that I need. Okay, so we're going to compete for this stuff. It's not a good thing. When it comes to sexual, only half the population can produce offspring. How terrible is that? Well, think about it. Okay, I cannot produce a baby, but my wife can. Okay, between the two of us, half of us can only produce offspring. I can't. Okay, whereas with asexual, every single plant can produce an offspring. Okay, how cool is that? It means it can spread very quickly, as I was telling you. Next one, another advantage is no guarantee, let me get a pen here, there's no guarantee that the fusion between the male and the female gamete will occur. I mean, you don't know if the pollen grain is going to land on the female and it goes all the way down and then something happens and they don't fuse. You don't know if it's going to happen. You're just hoping that it survives. Okay, so that's a big thing where if you have a look at the asexual, it can happen. It goes very quickly. Okay, then we've got, come on, there we go. With this one, if I can, works today. Okay, there we go. Let's try this one. Okay, wait. We'll get it right today. Today will happen. Okay, another one. I'm not even going to open it. Undo, undo. Oh, there we go. If I have a look at this, right? We got no genetic variation. Now, remember I told you that the most important thing or a nice thing is to keep the favorable conditions. But don't forget, even the bad stuff gets kept now, which is not a good thing. And then, of course, here we go, no guarantee that the fusion between the male and female gamete will produce a desirable characteristic. So I don't know if this one is, it's like taking a fast runner and a very clever person and hoping that you're going to get a fast runner that's very clever. You don't know. It could be that they don't come like that. Right, which is quite cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a break because I can see the smoke coming out. I can feel how tired you guys are getting. So have a quick break, and when I get back, we'll go full force again. Okay, cheers. Okay, now you've had your break, right? So now we can go full force into it. I've given you the definitions, and I've given you certain type of words. So when we talk about things, you'll understand it. Now remember, I'm not worried about asexual. I'm going to put asexual on the side here. I'm not going to worry about anything big. Remember I said that we're going to concentrate on that specific one, flowering plants, angiosperms. Can you remember? Okay, so let's have a look at it. If I go to angiosperms, and I'm going to bring this picture up here, and before I ask you to do something, I'm just going to tell you a couple of things about these angiosperms. Okay, this thing is a flower. Okay, it's the sexual reproductive organs of a plant when it comes to angiosperms. Okay, and yes, you see pretty ones, and you see dull ones, and you see all these different things, and you see ones that have got these fun little feathers coming out of it. You know, it's got all these different things. Now, each of these flowers perform a specific function. They get pollinated in different ways. Different ways. So what I'm going to want you to do, okay, I've got this flower, okay, and I've got all the different names. So I've got the flower over here, if I can just get the pen. I've got the flower over here, and I've got all the different names. What I want you to do is I want you to label this flower for me, okay? If you label the flower, I want you to put the names at the right places, and let's see what you've got, okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes for that, and I want you to concentrate. Give me the best you can, okay? And let's see what you can come up with. Ready? Go. Now I can see some of the boys sitting out there and going, it's just a pretty flower. What is it used for? I can see the girls going, oh, it's beautiful. But did you actually concentrate while labeling this flower? It's very important. Remember, without a flower, we're not going to produce a new plant in this case. And if we don't produce a new plant, plants are going to die out. And if the plants die out, of course, we've got no food. So we're going to die out. Right, so let's have a look at it. While you were busy doing that, I've got it over here, and I'm going to bring it up for you, and I'm going to move the stuff while you need it. So let's have a look. Okay, we're going to start off with A. Okay, can you see A consists of this white, this part here, if you can see it, that I'm coloring in, and it goes all the way down. Okay, and let's have a look if we can find a label for that. This is it. It's that label, and we bring it all the way up to here. Let's move it down, no, up. Where am I going? Okay, there it is. That's it. Okay, now, what I've given you there is the pistil, made up of the stigma and the style. Okay, now, that is the female part of the plant. There is something still missing, but we'll label it later. Okay, the stigma and the style is very, very important, because what actually happens is you're going to get a pollen grain, for instance. Let me use a different color here, maybe green. You have a pollen grain, and it comes and it sits on top of this thing here. Okay, and it's going to dig all the way down, all the way around, and come up here to fertilize the eggs inside there. Right, so that's what it does. That's the female part. Okay, if we go back, let's go. What's B? Oh, there we go. There's B. Get the picture. Anther. There we go. And we're going to move it up. I've made sure. I had this thing about moving down today. I don't know what is going on with me. Okay, let's have a look. Make it so you can see it. There we go. The anther. The anther is the male part of the plant. Like, it comes from antheridium, right? And this male part of the plant, if you have a look at it, it consists, here it is, the parts, the anthers form part of the stigma, okay, of the stamen, and the stamen is this part here. Okay, it's got all the things that you need. It's got the pollen grains and the pollen sacs, the tiny little, and I mean, I'm sure you've seen plants where you go touch those little, it looks like little bags. It's actually, it looks like that if you have a look at it. Over there, let's do that, and it comes down, and there's a tube. And this part here is yellow, 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 yellow. And then you go and grab it with your finger, and it ends up on all your fingers, right? So that is the pollen, that yellow grain. That's the pollen that's supposed to go to the female, right? If I go to the next one, let's pick a color here, and I actually want to go to, which is C. This is a cool one. That one. Oh, I need to get that. Okay, move that out the way. Then I've got that one. Move it all the way up. There it is, the petal. Now, there's some interesting information for you. Okay, when it comes to the petal, okay, those beautiful things, the things that give the color and it smells so nice, okay, those petals are very, 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 very important. Okay, when it comes to giving everything to the animal, like for example, if you have pollinators, okay, and you've got bees and you've got birds, right? Those things are so important, okay, especially their colors. If you have a look at the red ones, they normally get picked up by birds, okay? They're normally long and thin, and birds normally come and put their long beaks in it to try and get nectar, which you're going to find right at the bottom of everything. And then you've got the pretty petals on the outside that calls them, they attract them. Okay, so you've got the red ones, and then you've got the plain simple, like the white and the yellow and all of those, and the insects go for those. So have a good look. Walk around and have a look at flowers. Okay, please remember that a rose doesn't get pollinated. Okay, not all roses. Most of them don't do it anymore. Okay, let's have a look what else we've got here. We've got the filament forming part of the stigma. Ooh, the filament part of the stamen. Sorry, I'll keep saying stigma today. There it is. Let's see if I can pull that up. Remember, I put a stamen somewhere. Can you remember? There we go, the stamen. I'm going to pull this all the way up there. Hopefully it fits. I'm going to move it across a bit more and down. There it is. Okay, the anther, which is the top, and the filament, which is this long part over here, this piece here, and it goes all the way down. That's a filament. It holds the male piece up there nice and proud and say, there you go, there it is, and enjoy it. Right, okay. Then we have the next part, which is your ovary containing your ovules. I've decided I'm not going to go according to A, B, C, D, because then I'm going to get you guys all confused. If we have a look at that, and I move it all the way here, remember I said to you, move it in a bit. Let me move this down so you can see it and move it across a bit more. There we go. So can you remember I said to you, the female plant, it's got the over here, and it's got the top piece. Oh, let's leave that there. And it goes all the way down, the stigma and the style, and now it's got the ovaries down here at the bottom. Very important, the ovaries here at the bottom. Very, very important, right? That holds the eggs, okay? That's what we need for fertilization, okay? So it's got that piece. Next one, you got 3 more words. And these 3 words, a lot of people get a little bit worried about them. First one, I'm going to take the sepal, okay? And sepal goes here by D. What that is, you know when you get the flowers and you have that game, you know when you pick the lily and you have that game where the girls play it. I don't know if you played, but in my days we played it. Right, and you pick a petal up. He loves me not. He loves me not. And at the end, you got the stalk with this thing with the green leaves around the edge. Okay, all the beautiful colored petals are gone. Now, those green thing there, right, they're the sepals. And what they do is before the flower popped out, remember it was covered with these green with these green leaves, right? That's the sepal. So it protects the flower before it opens. Okay? How cool is that? That is your sepal. And now we've got 2 more words. Now, with the first one, you've got receptacle and peduncle. Okay, now the peduncle holds the receptacle, which is the swollen part, the thicker swollen part just underneath the ovaries. So if I had to take it, the receptacle goes over here by E, okay, and that's a swollen part, and the peduncle is the stalk, okay, and I'm not talking about the bird, I'm talking about this, what do you call it, the part that holds the flower up. Remember, it holds the flower up there nice and proud, the whole flower. That's what the stalk does. That is the peduncle. And just before, from the peduncle, you get the reciprocal, and then you get the sepals. Right. So all of those things together make your flower. Okay. And yes, they change. Don't get me wrong. Not all flowers are identical. But some flowers are different to others. Okay. For example, okay, in actual fact, let me do this. I've seen a label that we've missed, and I should have thought about it there. This one. I can move this across. It'll make it easier. There we go. Ah, there we go. It's labeling. Can you remember? You see it over there? I only noticed it now, so we must always be careful. There it is. There's the filament going all the way down that holds that male part up. Okay, now, if I have a look at this specific flower, okay, now, this specific flower is very important for us because we've got the petals on the outside, and inside of the petals, if you have a good look at my hand, inside of the petals, if I turn it like this, the petals are my fingers, and then this is going to be the male and female part. Inside it does that. And can you see how the petals are actually protecting the male and female plant? It's keeping it on the inside. Okay? It stops it from wind. So the minute we see this, we know that this is not wind pollinated. We know that some sort of insect or bird or something has got to come along and fertilize or help with moving the pollen from one flower to the next. Okay, the minute, and you must understand this, the minute you have the female and the male plants hanging out of the flower, that's when you're going to get things like your wind dispersal. Okay, so the wind will blow it, or sometimes the water. There's certain things in water. Okay, and it's not the only thing that's needed. If you look at the pollen grains, okay, when it comes to the pollen grains, some are sticky, some have got little hooks on them, okay, some have got little tails. What do you think the tails will be for? Come think about it. What do you think a tail would be used for? Okay, now I don't know how your brain works, but the minute I think of tail, I think of swimming. Okay, so when you've got, maybe it's got a little tail and it'll go and swim in water. Okay, sometimes they've got wings. okay? And the wings will float them down or travel all the way to the female part, okay? The female part with the stigma, right? That female part, that main part, what happens is it's sticky. So as this pollen comes along, it'll stick to it so it doesn't go anywhere. And please, please, please remember, the pollen grain is not the gametes. The pollen grain is not the gametes. Pollen grain is here, and inside the pollen grain is your male gametes. Okay? Your pollen grain is a taxi. A pollen grain transports it from here to here. And the reason why we got these angiosperms, and they're the highest ones you've got, these flowering plants. Okay? The reason why they are the highest ones you've got is they have adapted to be able to give off less pollen so that doesn't waste as much pollen by using flowers, by calling somebody and saying, help me out, I need you to take it from here to here. Okay, that's what makes them the top plant. Okay, hopefully it's all sinking in and you're understanding this nicely. I'm sure I can see you, I can actually see you guys getting this. Okay, now plants, I know sometimes they say plants are boring, but they're not. Just got to look at the fun part of it. So go out and go and enjoy the flowers. It's definitely worth it. Okay, but before you do that, let's have a quick break. Okay, and then after the break, we'll go through some questions. I'll see you in a few minutes. Cheers. Now that you're back, I had a run around, right? I'm sure you had a... No, I'm lying. You didn't run around. You stood up, stretched a bit, give it a nice... And some of you had those beautiful flowers, right? And you had a good look at them. I'm impressed. Now, what is going to happen is we're going to go to the crux of the matter. There's pointless learning things if you don't get questioned on them, right? So let's have a look. Each one of these are very important. There we go. I've given you a beautiful picture. Look at that. Okay. Automatically, I can, just by judging, I can see certain things when it comes to, what do you call it? Pollinators, and what are we going to use them or aren't we? Okay. The question that I've got for you now is, where are the male gametes found in a flowering plant? Where are the male gametes found in a flowering plant? Next one, where are the female gametes found in the flowering plant? Same thing. Last one, are the structures above haploid or diploid? And explain. Okay, one more time. Where are the male gametes found in the flowering plant? Where are the females gametes found in the flowering plant? And last one, are those parts haploid or diploid? Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Now remember, think about it carefully. It's very easy, but you can make a mistake like that. You ready? And Oh my word. I can see that you guys are concentrating. This is fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at the answers that I can give you. Okay, firstly, I can pull it down. I didn't cover them. That's good. Where are the male gametes found in the flowering plant? Now, if I have a look at it, I'm going to use blue. And let's see, where's the male part of the plant? Okay, remember, I said if this is nicely calibrated. No, it's not. There it is. It's running up there. And then you've got that part. Can you see it? Can you see those parts? Right. Now, they are labeled E, it's labeled F, and together they are labeled G. Now, where is the male gametes found in this plant? Okay. Now, is it found in this tube? Is it found in this top section? Oh, I don't know how that changed. Okay, but let's just do that for 2 seconds. Is it found in this top section here, right? Or is it found in both? It's a good question. Let's have a look. Okay, and I'm going to do this for a reason. There we go. All the way down. Touch that again. Bring it down. There we go. It's in the anther. Now, can you remember where the anther is? Okay. First of all, can it be G? No, it can't be G. Why can it not be G? Because remember, the male part is the stigma and the anther and the filament. The anther and the filament, right? Now, the anther is that little sac over there, and the filament holds the anther up. Okay, so it's found inside the anther or on top of the anther. Okay, in actual fact, it's found inside the pollen grain on top of the anther. That's quite cool, isn't it? Right, so let's have a look at the next question. Where is the female gametes found? Okay, we'll pull it up again. Now remember, female, I'm going to change it to pink. Female is this whole piece here. There it is. Okay, and it goes all the way up, all the way to there. Can you see it? Okay, now it's labeled A, it's labeled B, and it's a and labeled I. There it is. Can you see it? Now, all those three, each one does a specific job. Okay, first of all, these ones over here, I want to keep nice and tight and protected. Okay, but I need to get the pollen grains right. And the only way I'm going to get that is to stick it out nice and high. So what I've done is I've put this piece in here, all the way to there to actually catch the pollen grains. So let's have a look. Let's see if you got it right. Okay. There it is, the ovary. Where would you find the ovary? It is the protected part. That protective part is very important. That's why it's so deep in there. Right? And then what happens is, remember, everything falls off, and then that thing, that bulge, becomes, for example, like a fruit. Hey, how cool is that? Becomes any type of fruit. So you look at, let's see, an apple, right? So the apple is there, and it makes its way. It becomes a big apple, so animals can eat it, and once the animals have eaten it, they give the seeds away. Okay, next one. Let's have a look at this next question. Okay. The structure, are the structures above haploid or diploid? Now, if I have a look at this carefully, I'm going to pull it back down again. Haploid or diploid? Can you remember in the beginning, I asked you that question. What is a haploid? What is diploid? What is haploid? Can you remember? It is half the amount of chromosomes as the parent cell. Okay. What is diploid? It is a somatic cell. It's got both chromosomes, 2 sets of chromosomes, one from mom, one from dad. Right. So let's have a look. Do you think that, and I want you to get, because they tricked you on this, and that, it gets to me. We trick you, but we trick you on purpose. We do that to see if you are thinking and if you read the question. Here is the question, and I want to do this. This is very important, and I can't use that color because it's not going to work. Okay. Are these structures haploid or diploid? What structures? Okay, the ones that we did above. Okay, are they haploid or diploid? Now, we're asking, are the ovaries and the anther, haploid or diploid. Okay? They didn't ask whether the gametes are haploid or diploid. They asked, are these structures haploid or diploid? And come on, are the structures the sex cells? No, they house the sex cells. They make the sex cells, right? So are they haploid or diploid? Okay, let's have a look if you got it right. I keep going there, and I know for a fact it is going to definitely be diploid, right? It's definitely diploid, and the reason why they are diploid is because they make, their structures are diploid, but they produce haploid structures, right? Come, guys, I know that you got that. Don't fall for it. Read your questions carefully. It's very, very important to read those questions carefully. Okay, let's have a look. I've got another one for you here. Okay, same picture, same picture. Identify part labeled D and state its function. D, 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 D. Ah, there it is. There it is, D. Okay, you've got 2 minutes. No. I disagree. I'd say 1 minute because you're good enough. I know exactly that you know what's going on, right? You got 1 minute. Ready, steady, go. Now, you were sitting there saying that you have to give us a whole minute. I mean, for goodness sake, I know that you know it. And you should have said, yeah, you give us a lot of understanding, and I know what's going on, and you know what's going on. So remember, D's up here, there it is. And you saying to me, come on, we all know what that is. That is those beautiful things that the reason why we give them is for those beautiful things. They are the petals, right? And don't forget, what is the function of the petal, right? It is to attract. That's why we like them. They make it, they look beautiful. They're attractive. So they normally attract insects or plants. So they attract pollinators. Let's have a look. Okay, they are, there it is. Okay, they are the petals. The petals attract pollinators and protect the andrecium and the gynoecium. Ooh, andrecium and gynoecium. Not once have I measured that word or mentioned that word. Andrecium and gynoecium. Come on, this is easy. You guys can do this. Andrecium is men, okay, and gynoecium is woman. Well, think about it. When a lady is pregnant, she needs to go visit the gynecologist. The gynecologist is for female. Gynoecium, andrecium. Right, that's the only way I remember it when I was younger, right? Gynoecium and andrecium. Cool. I'm glad that you guys have got that. Now, we have got another question for you. Same picture all the time. It's the same thing. Let's see. We just got one here. It says, is this method of reproduction, in the flower suitable, is the flower suitable and successful survival on land? And explain. So in other words, do we do this on land? Is it successful? Right? It's a very, very important question, right? You have 1 minute. No, make it 2. I want you to think about this carefully and give me a good answer. Let's see what you can do. Ready? Go. Let's have a look at it. This is quite a difficult one, okay? So let's have a look. I always got to make things difficult. You know, you can't always have easy things. Okay, so I've gone straight to the answer. There it is. Let's open it up. There we go. Okay, and the answer, can you remember it said there, is this method a good method? And yes, it is a good method. Okay, if it wasn't a good method, it wouldn't be the most complex plant. Okay, and we have a look at it. The male and the female gametes are reduced in size. So in other words, if they're smaller, they don't have to use as much energy to make. Okay, they do not have to rely on water to transport them. Okay, like air and all that, but they don't have to use water. And water was, what happens if there is no water? Okay, and then you got the last one, the fertilization and the flower is adapted to attract pollinators that are land-based. Okay, it means that they are built and they're adapted to do a fantastic job. Okay, and even if we are not pollinators like you and me, we are attracted to the petals. It just shows you how good they really are. Right, so I hope you enjoyed this. It was wonderful seeing you guys again, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of each other. So get cracking, get studying. Don't forget to do your homework, and make sure you study hard. Have a good time, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.